get your arms way up in a cast and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. You gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loomis rod. I bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck and give it a whirl. Hello, welcome to my world.
What's going on, Facebook and YouTube Live? Welcome back to this episode of On Another Line Live here on March 8th, 2022, fresh off the Bassmaster Classic. We're going to be talking about that, talking about some major happenings on my channel, and also going to have you guys help me make a decision about what I'm going to do this season as far as what I'm going to be fishing. So, again, thank you guys for joining, and I'm glad to see you guys back. Got them Wayne boys in the house already. What's up, fellows? You guys been catching them? Been pretty tough. Ryan Love, what's up, man? Sorry I missed you down at the Classic. I guess you were just there the Friday. I didn't get there till later Friday evening. Went to the weigh-in. So you guys know, you probably saw the video that I posted about the days 1 and 2. I'm getting ready to post day 3 tomorrow morning. The Bassmaster Classic this year was it was really cool experience for me because, once you've seen and kind of taken in the Bassmaster Classic for what it is, you've seen them all, in my opinion. The fishing is obviously way different every time, but like the same thing happens over and over and over again. Like Dave Mercer coming out and saying, like, let's get ready to weigh him. Like that stuff just sends chills up my spine. But this year was different for me in a lot of different ways, because as you guys know, I've tried to produce better and more quality content for my channel, not only lives, but videos that I post weekly. And it's starting to show a little bit of fruits of my labor, which is amazing. And I can't thank you guys out there enough. But this year was pretty crazy for me as a content creator, because this is the first year that I've been walking around the expo, no branded apparel on, no OnAnotherLine stuff on, no OnAnotherLine hat, nothing. And I was stopped by 20 plus people in the expo crowd, said, hey man, I watch your show and I enjoy your stuff. Keep doing what you're doing. And I have conversation with all those people. And it's literally amazing to me that, my show reaches people that far. Spoke to people from Michigan, Ohio, Alabama. One guy was from Florida watching my show. So it was really, really amazing for that. And then I go around the corner and there's the Yolotek booth. Christian Corley and I are having a conversation about it. As you guys know, I'm sure you guys probably know because you guys voted on it and allowed me to win the Yolotek Video of the Year contest, which brought up the opportunity for me to buy a lot of new Yolotek gear on their dime. It was $500 Yolotek store credit plus $250 cash. And Christian and I were sitting there talking about that, and I was basically helping him try to make some sales. Their booth was slam packed. It was pretty amazing to watch, actually. And Christian, sitting there talking to me, and I look up on the backdrop of this entire Yolotek booth, which at the Bassmaster Classic is pretty substantial because it's not just a cheap thing that you can do. I read a statistic one time that Shimano's booth at the Bassmaster Classic usually costs them like $250,000. They have a huge amount of space, don't get me wrong, way bigger than the Yolotek booth. But it was really cool for me to look up, and on the backdrop of the Yolotek booth was my picture and my face on their stuff, it was super amazing. And Christian actually had me sign that thing. Me signing it, I don't have a big head or anything like that, so don't think that. But it was really humbling for me to be able to see that, as Ryan says here, hard work does pay off. And I'm trying my best. So I just wanted to reach out to each and every one of you guys that are watching out there, or the people, you might be watching this later if you're at work or whatever, watching this later on my YouTube channel. I just want to say thank you, because without you guys out there watching my content and giving me ideas to make videos on, it would not be possible. I definitely appreciate it. Jerry, man, all the way from California. That is awesome, dude. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah. What's up, Mr. Tucker? I did see that, man. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. The West Virginia boys there. Um, I didn't fish any. I did not. We drove down. Kyle and I normally pull his boat down and fish. We fished Hartwell before, and it's a long trip to just fish a couple hours because we want to spend some time at the expo. And again, I use trips like that, night casts and things as business trips for myself to network with people that I don't know or people that may not know who I am, to try to build partnerships and build relationships with companies of stuff that I use. Example, Yolotek. I met Christian Corley about I swear I think it was at the original Hartwell. Well, not the original one, but the one that Casey Ashley won. This is back when Yolotek was just distributed by T&H Marine and didn't have their own like distribution. They were just a startup company. So I met him and we've become friends. So I've used this thing as ways to do that. Catch up with my buddies like Gene Jensen, Fluke Master. You guys saw that on my channel and stuff. So I don't get the opportunity to go out and do that much fishing because, again, if I did, it would only be for an hour or two a day. And with gas, $4 a gallon now, it's kind of stupid to pull the boat to fish a couple hours. But I'm going to be getting into some more fishing here soon. I was planning on going Friday or Saturday, which is my birthday, March 12th. We're supposed to get 6 inches of snow here in Ohio. So thank you, Mother Nature, for ruining that. We went from 75 degrees in South Carolina to like 25 and snowing this weekend. But hey, you never know. We'll have to see what happens. Hey, Randy, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Week after week, I see your name and other people's name commenting here that you guys are watching. So it does mean a whole lot to me. I appreciate the support. What's up, Mitch? If I'm not mistaken, I think you're from down there in the Texas area. So, hey, guys, we're growing. Speaking of which, let's talk about my YouTube channel a little bit. You guys know that I have a 4,000 subscriber hard stop goal by the end of this year, December 31st, 2022. If I don't have 4,000 plus subscribers, see you later on another line as you guys know it. I'm here to tell you, I'm going to knock on wood here. It seems like we're going to hit that way before December. And I couldn't thank you guys enough. Right now, the last 90 days, guys, I've had 240 new subscribers to my YouTube channel. And that is astronomically higher. That's 45% higher than the 3 months best I've ever had in my life as a YouTuber. I've had this YouTube channel for about 11 years. Now, I want to break that down a little bit because I've not produced fishing videos those whole entire 11 years. As a lot of you guys know, I'm a country music artist as well. I started that out as a way to put covers out there and stuff just to get my music out. And that ended roughly. I mean, I still do that every now and again, but I use this channel strictly for music or for fishing now. But I started posting fishing videos in 2015-ish. End of 2014, into 2015, the spring. So right now we're 7 years deep in doing the fishing video content side of things. And I've never produced more videos than I have this past year. And it's proving to be, the proof's in the pudding. If I don't produce the stuff, you guys aren't watching it. There is nothing to watch. So that's the deal. So 240 new subscribers in the last 90 days, which is astronomically high. 535,000 impressions, which is like, whoa, like give me a break. Crazy. Like I should be like I just feel like I just want to scream, like just slow clap, like woo! Yeah, baby. You guys don't know how proud I am of this last 90 days. Crazy. I didn't mean to blow your eardrums out, but it's just that impressive for me, and I can't say anything other than it's been crazy. 3,500 hours of watch time, 55,235 views in the last 90 days. Crazy. Thank you out there very much. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. It means a lot, man. So again, Bassmaster Classic was a good time. Saw my ugly mug on the backdrop of the Yolotek booth. I do want to drop some knowledge on you guys, and I'm not doing this because they're affiliated with my show and I use the product. Anything Yolotek, my discount code doesn't save you as much money as it used to, and we're going to talk about why. Talked to Christian again over the Bassmaster Classic there, and he told me that to import his products, they used to import a shipping container, and that shipping container would cost him a little over $5,000 to get shipped into the United States. And with that being said, the latest one wasn't even full of product because he can't get it produced like he wants it. He wants it more like he wants, they can't produce it fast enough for him. So normally it's a full shipping container, costs him $5,500 to ship it here. Latest one usually takes about 3 weeks. This one took over a month to get in, and it also jumped from $55,000 to $28,500. $28,000 for shipping on a shipping container full of product. Christian is looking for, he's wanted to produce these things in the United States since he started. There's just not any production style companies that deal with electronics and stuff that he's talking about, like his Yolotek sticks and stuff. So he has to have this thing produced overseas. Right now, man, they got him by the manhood. Think about that. Shipping costs $5,000 as opposed to $28,000. You know, the Yolotek sticks, I feel like they're a decent price right now. They're about $130 a piece. And I think that in order to, I mean, if you think about that, you're looking at 5 times the amount of cost. So is it going to be worth $500? No. He knows that. You know that. I know that. So I think that we're going to see a huge change in not only product manufacturing here in the United States over the coming years, which is amazing, but I also think it's going to put a hurting on the fishing industry in the way of that and a way of having just sheer costs to go fishing. You know, $3 a gallon, I don't want to be okay with it. Like, I don't. You know, I remember we had like $1.89 a gallon at one point. And I'm not blaming any president on that. I know there's way more stuff involved in that. But I do know at $4 a gallon, it makes it really tough for me to even go to Grayson. I'm talking about fishing a lot of different tournaments. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I'm going to have you guys tell me what you think I should do. But I think we're going to see a major overhaul in the fishing world. I think local clubs are going to be a huge deal here soon because nobody can afford to travel a lot of these places and pay these really high entry fees. Yeah, so they are, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I run 2 of them every day. You know, I'm going to be making a video here very soon showing you guys what I run and what I can run. This year on my boat, especially when we go to Lake Fork, I'm going to be running 4 cameras at a time. One on my chest with a with a juice box. One on the boom, which is an 8-foot mount that goes in the back seat mount of your boat. And 2 Yolotek Power Stick 53s. Covering every angle. I'm hoping that the boom, I'll be running a GoPro 360. I have one on order. It's the first one I've ever had the want to have, but I've seen some really cool shots and I'm working with that. So you're right, Ryan. So this is and this is what Christian was saying too. And again, I don't want you to think that he was like complaining that he wants the stuff made in America. And I was just texting him earlier, and he said that as a company, they're thinking about posting this invoice for this shipping. And again, it's 500% increase on the shipping. And he said his deal was that he wants to get people in the United States to call senators and things and try to get more manufacturing here in-house within the United States. If anything, I've noticed, when we'll get back to fishing in just a second, this is definitely not a political channel. If anything that people should notice, like when COVID hit, how much we really relied on, European and Asian countries for goods in this country. And it should be kind of alarming. And the issue is that you can get it made way cheaper over there. And I can understand where a business point of view would want to make as much money as they can. It's the American dream. However, I think you're right that we need to shift, production back here in the United States. And I hope that gets, comes around soon. I do know for a fact that there's a microchip manufacturing plant actually owned by Intel that's going in Columbus, Ohio here. They're going to start breaking ground on it very soon. And that's going to produce a lot of microchips that we need and things. So maybe we can then become, more self-sufficient as opposed to having that stuff reliant overseas. Yeah, so Ryan uses it a lot too. So you're definitely not going to be disappointed, guys. I promise you. One thing that I will tell you to do is if you didn't pick some up, dielectric grease is all the same. You can buy it from them fairly cheap, but you can go to Lowe's, you can go to AutoZone, go somewhere and look for dielectric grease. Dielectric grease is a grease that electricity will still flow through, but it basically makes the connection water resistant and less prone to like corrosion. That's the word I was looking for. Get some dielectric grease, put it on the connections of the power stick before you put it into the nav port on your boat, and it will save you some headaches as you go on because it's going to rain, it's going to get in there. Dielectric grease is going to fix all that problem for you. So fix it before you get it started. You don't have to go right immediately and do it, but if you guys are out at Walmart or something, dielectric grease is very cheap. Pick up a small tube of it, put it on the bottom of the Yolotek stick. Let me grab mine, I'll show you. Here's one of them. But right here, there's two. There's a positive and a negative, and I don't know if my camera's going to focus on it. Everything's backwards, but now you can see it. Those two prongs right there. There's a positive and a negative, and if you don't put any kind of dielectric grease on that, eventually it will corrode and give you issues with not making connection to your main battery in your boat. So definitely do that. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think that we're going to see a huge difference. So now let's talk about this season for me, and it's coming up very soon. Again, I was planning on fishing the Lewis County Lunkers tournament this weekend on the Ohio River. I talked to Brandon Buckner. I'm not sure he's even going to have it this weekend. 26-degree weather is not my idea of a good time on a bass boat. I mean, I've fished in some cold weather. I've fished in weather colder than that. Can I say that I was happy with it? No. I have some of the best gear on the planet when it comes to warm weather or, cold weather gear. Stormer is my absolute go-to. If it's a little bit warmer, I'll use my 100-mile-per-hour suit from Bass Pro. And if it's warmer than that, then I'm going to probably use my my Aero suit from Stormer. I have like the best gear on the planet, but 26 degrees is still 26 degrees. So I was planning on kicking off my weekend this weekend, but I think I'm going to spend this weekend, if I can potentially do it. If it snows, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I'm going to produce a video showing you how I set my boat up at the beginning of the year to make sure everything is legit for my tournament season or my fishing season for that matter. How to check the batteries, how to make sure that the battery voltage is there, checking your charger, making sure your battery charger is still producing what it should, making sure. I'm going to change the spark plugs in my boat this year. Again, first time I've done that since I've owned the boat. I've had that. This is the 5th year I've had the boat. Well overdue. I can almost guarantee you that the spark plugs that are in the boat are probably the same ones that were in it brand new. Again, my boat only had like 125 hours, 130 hours on it when I bought it, and it was 10 years old at that point, so it wasn't used. So I can't imagine if somebody didn't use the boat, they were out there just changing the spark plugs. And I'm going to show you guys how to make sure that everything is up in tip-top shape. I'm going to do everything I can to my boat this year to get it ready to rock and roll because I plan on fishing out of my boat a lot this year. But I have quite the decision to make. I've been talking to several people. There's a lot of different people that I know that fish different tournament, I guess, circuits in the area, if you will. And I'm sorry guys, I'm sharing this video out here. So I've got to, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I was just planning on staying local, fishing local tournaments, and then traveling around, doing some traveling to really cool places like Gene Jensen and I, and you guys know Gene, Fluke Master. You guys saw it on my last video. I talked to him over the Classic, and we had this conversation about going down to chicken fishing in August. We've been trying to get together for the last year and a half, and it's just not worked. His schedule's crazy busy, so is mine in the summertime. Wanted to make it happen this year until I came home and saw gas was $5 a gallon, which is going to put a damper on doing that. I'm not going to lie to you, because it would be several $100s to get down there and back, plus paying fuel in his boat or my boat or whatever. It would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I'm still planning on doing that. But so I was talking to Mike Boggs and Tom Sutton, a few of you guys down there at the Classic. They all fish Kentucky Bass Nation. I fished Ohio Bass Nation for several years, and I've had a great time doing that. Kyle and I always fish the Ohio Bass Nation Team Tournament Trail, which is one of the few trails that he and I can enter in as a team. We're both partners. We fish together every tournament, and we're putting our skills against everybody else. It was really fun, super fun. Those guys that were fishing in that stuff are hammers, man. It wasn't like you're rolling in there and, going to take somebody's money on a Tuesday nighter. Those guys spend weeks and weeks and weeks pre-fishing these tournaments and go in there. And me and Kyle were trying to go in 2 or 3 days in advance and trying to find these fish and win them, and it was just impossible. So Ohio and Kentucky Bass Nation is, in my opinion, one of the easiest ways. And when I say easy, I am saying this, I'm not saying this facetiously. Don't think I'm like making light of it at all. But I feel like it's the best way that you have possible to make a Bassmaster Classic. And what I mean by that is you heard a fellow there at the Bassmaster Classic, if you watched any of it at all, he said that, you guys probably didn't see it, but because it won't be out there yet. But he said that, what's the difference between me and these other 53 other anglers in here, because another guy made it from the Bass Nation too. He said, what's different between me and every other bass angler in this field is that I'm going to work on Monday. Like, I don't get to fish for a living. These guys are going to go down to Santee Cooper and get a fish for a week and fish another tournament because they're on that pro level. This guy qualified through the Bass Nation. And when I say it's easy to make the Bassmaster Classic, that is far and away not true. So the way you have to make a Bassmaster Classic is that you could finish in the top 40 of the Bassmaster Elite Series, which is a feat in and of itself. But above and beyond that, you have to be, one, able to fish the Elite Series, which you have to be, you have to either qualify for or you have to be accepted into the Elite Series through BASS. And then you have the ability to pay the tournament entry fees, which is astronomical at that point. Finish in the top 40, and you automatically get a chance to fish the Bassmaster Classic that year. The previous year's winner, so for example, this year, Jason Christie's won it. Next year, he'll get an automatic berth into the Bassmaster Classic. So he could not fish an entire tournament or entire year and then still get into that, which is, I think that's true. Maybe they have to fish the tournaments, but anyway, so he's guaranteed a spot. And you also have Bass Nation, and you have college bass and all that stuff. And then, you get 55 anglers that fish the Bassmaster Classic, but through, you have open winners too. So Bassmaster Opens, I think there's 9 opens all over the country. The opens for a boater is like $1,700 entry fee. If you win one of those, then you get access to the Bassmaster Classic. Whereas you have to win several tournaments, and you have to win several tournaments against some absolute hammers. But I feel like that you have the better, cheaper way to get to the Bassmaster Classic is going through either, whatever state you're in, Bass Nation. You have to be a Bass Nation member. Mike Boggs told me today that it's $30 to enter Bass Nation, or to be a Bass Nation member. Then you pay per tournament. I'm not sure if there's dues for the Kentucky Bass Nation. But there's 4 tournaments, I think, in a championship in Kentucky. The first one is kicking off the 19th, which is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday coming up. I'm thinking about throwing my hat in the ring with those guys and fishing that as a co-angler. Next off is the Ohio Bass Nation. Ohio Bass Nation has, I don't know why it is set up this way. You think Kentucky and Ohio Bass Nation will be the same. But Ohio Bass Nation only has 2 tournaments. One's in like June or I think one's in June, one's in July, May and July or something. But those 2 tournaments, and then there's a championship, and then you go basically if you finish in a certain range of people, you get the opportunity to fish as a state team, and then you compete against other state teams to become, to win the opportunity to go to the Bassmaster Classic. Is it easy? Heck no. It's probably easier to win an Open than it is to win a Bass Nation. However, you're going to have a ton of money wrapped up in an Open. You kind of got to weigh your options. So Kyle and I were talking about doing that. High Bass Nation is only 2 tournaments. The tournaments are a little more expensive for a High Bass Nation, probably because they're only having 2. It's like $140 entry fee. Whereas as a boater or a co-angler, don't quote me on this, but I think it's $80 for a co-angler to join or to fish the Kentucky Bass Nation tournaments. So I'm kind of up in the air. There's a Renegade tournament coming up at Grayson, which is one of my favorite places to fish during this time of year, which will be in 2 weeks. Lawrence County Bass Club kicks off their tournament series the 20th, I believe, of March, which will be their first tournament at Yatesville. A lot of stuff going on. I just can't make up my mind what I want to do. So, Herb, I assume you're talking about the Kentucky Bass Nation. I think that the easiest route is the Bass Nation stuff. And I say easy, I mean by like the least hard, because they're all hard. I'm not downplaying it. If you fish all those and you hammer down on them, it's amazing what you guys, what you can do. But I think it's the easiest route to get there. So I'm definitely looking into that. Dude, I would wear a fur coat if I had. So I traded in my black On-Em hat. It's upstairs. It's my tournament fishing hat. Picked up this jewel this weekend at the actually Matt had his own booth. Love him or hate him, Matt Robertson, in my opinion, is a breath of fresh air to bass fishing as we know it. Most people look at Matt as this like bad boy type, outcast, somebody that's there to break the rules, somebody that just wants to be this like over the top, outspoken hillbilly guy. But I'm here to tell you that stuff is funny, but Matt as a person, you're not going to meet a better person, in my opinion. He took the time to be on my show a couple years ago. I have his phone number right now. I guarantee if I call him, he'd answer, "Hey man, what's up?" I'm not going to do that, but I could. I dig the guy, man. Like, I think it's going to be, I don't know. He potentially could get kicked out of bass for some of the stuff he does. People hate the stuff that he does. Like, he come out on stage on Friday of the Bassmaster Classic with 2 Michelob Ultras, opened them up, smashed them over his head, drank about half of one of them, and then threw them on his boat and went and wade fishing. Is that the best thing to do? Probably not. If I was on the Bassmaster Classic stage, I'd probably do the daggone same thing. You know why? Because there's a chance I don't get to step up there again. I wouldn't be that over the top, because my first Classic, I'll go in and weigh 1.5 pounds and get beat, and they'll probably have to make a 56 spot because I'll get beat that bad. But it's just it's crazy that the dude can catch him, and he gets beat that bad by a lot of those people because they're that good too. I think you're not going to see the last of Matt Robertson, but I will tell you this. I've had my black On-Em hat since the day that he was on my show 2 years ago, and I've worn that thing out. It has everything but a little black dot. Everything's like faded except the black dot here where my angler bullseye was at, and I wear it fishing every time I go to a tournament. And it's still upstairs, but I will tell you that I wanted to stop and talk to Matt on Sunday because he didn't make the cut, obviously, at the Ugly Stick booth, and just shoot the breeze with him, because I haven't really talked to him in person since he was on my show a couple years ago. And he was literally, there was people lined up 100 people deep to talk to him. And these On-Em hats, man, were like, they were crazy everywhere. Like, I was wearing On-Em hats for 2 years ago, and I would see like myself, Nate Witt had one, And then I would see one like randomly, like at St. Clair or something, and we'd have a conversation about our hats because nobody knew about Matt Robertson. But now I think that you guys they're gonna start seeing a lot more of these On 'em hats. But like I said, fur coat, I think, it's a persona, man. Like, and in the grand scheme of things, do I think it's dumb? Not so much. It's all about marketing yourself, right? I bet you guys didn't know who Matt Robertson was 2 years ago, and now everybody's like, oh, that's the guy who wears the fur coat. I don't know if you guys saw the Fishing for Friends stuff on Ugly Sticks Facebook page, but it was hilarious. What was so funny about it is Billy Strings is on there, and Billy Strings is like one of the ultimate bluegrass musicians right now. He is phenomenal. His latest album was awesome. Him and Matt fish together all the time. And they were talking, they were doing this skit like Matt didn't know him, and they were asking, he was taking applications for best friends in Nashville downtown. And if you read the comments, 97% of those people were like, oh my God, it's Billy Strings. They don't have a clue who Matt is. It's so funny. So, Jordan, my advice for you to do that, man, is to just do it. I was skeptical as a co-angler. Man, fishing as a co-angler is no joke. First off, it's so much fun. So much fun. You've heard me talk about my show a lot of times where I've fished with maybe 30 boaters in the years that I've been fishing these quote unquote pro level tournaments. And out of those 30 boaters, there's been one guy that I wouldn't go fishing with again. One guy. The guy was like 85 years old, smoked like 7 packs of cigarettes a day, cussed every breath that he threw his reel and rod into the trees above him. Just wasn't a good look. I wasn't happy with that guy, but I still fished. I still caught fish, still got paid. My advice to you is just try it one time. And again, Kentucky Bass Nation is a really good way to do that because the tournaments aren't really that local. However, I hear that they could be becoming a lot closer next year because a lot of these guys that are fishing these things are actually taking over the tournament. So you're going to see a lot of them. And I don't want to ruin it, but there's supposedly a new tournament coming here soon, really locally, that you could fish. But it's still so fun. My favorite tournament style to fish right now is the BFL, the Bass Fishing League. I really enjoy that. But with that stuff, the highest that you can go in that side of things is the All-American. The All-American is like the pinnacle of FLW BFLs, which is now MLF BFLs. You fish a BFL, there's like 4 of them. There's a regional tournament. If you win or if you fish in the top like 6 of the regional, you go to the All-American tournament, which is basically a nationwide tournament for all BFL winners that have been throughout the year winning these regional tournaments. And then if you win as a boater, there's one guy that wins as a boater. And when he wins, then he gets the ability to then fish that year's MLF pro circuit. And then, so there's one guy out of the entire nation that gets to fish on a pro level, like the absolute highest pro level. As a boater or as a co-angler, you're done. Even at the All-American. You can win the All-American, you win a boat, which is amazing, but that's it. Congratulations, you won a boat. You're the best co-angler on the planet for MLF. Better luck next year. Use your boat to jump in as a boater, have a chance to fish the MLF pro circuit. That's one of the biggest downfalls with that, is fishing that side of things. I like the ability of those tournaments that you get to draw partners. For example, you never knew who you're going to fish with. Kyle and I link together when we fish those tournaments, which guarantees us both a spot to fish a tournament. But if we link together, we could still potentially draw each other as partners. That's never happened in the 5 years we've been fishing BFLs together, nor do I ever think it will. I don't know if it would or not. I've heard of people doing it, but it's really tough, I think, to make that happen. But the Bass Nation stuff, eventually, even as a co-angler, when you get up into the state level, you qualify as a boater and a co-angler, and you fish as a co-angler. But eventually, as a co-angler, you will be fishing on your own, basically as a boater, and could potentially make it to the Bassmaster Classic as well. It's kind of up in the air. It's the easiest route to get there. I encourage you to do so, man. It's so much fun, and it's an eye-opening experience. for me as a co-angler, it allows me to learn from other people because there is a lot of people on those tours that know way more about fishing than I do. And I have learned so much, including fishing out deep and finding structure and finding fish and key points on deep water. And one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last 5 years fishing BFL in deep water is that 20 feet of water is not that deep. If you stand on the front of your boat and look back and you look at the motor back there, that's 20 foot deep. That's not that deep to a fish. So it's allowed me to find spots that are 30 to even 50 foot deep in the summertime and find those fish and try to potentially catch those fish. Whereas before I did anything like that, I would beat the banks up if it was 10 degrees or 150. I was fishing the bank. So it allows me to better my odds and to give me better skills. You should definitely try it out. West Virginia Bass Nation, 6 adult tournaments, all on Saturday. No clue what it costs to get in. If you guys, so another thing is, you don't have to be a resident of that state to fish those tournaments. For example, West Virginia, if you wanted to fish West Virginia, you were from Ohio, totally okay. Also, Bass Nation is nationwide. So once you pay $30 to become a Bass Nation member, you can enter any of the Bass Nation, state Bass Nation tournaments you want. If you see one in Michigan that you want to go, join, you can do that. You have the ability. But you have to fish one tournament series to make it to the Classic because you're going to have to qualify. Next tournament, late April 23rd at Stonewall Jackson, which is up around Clarksburg, West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere up in that area. Hey, Jamie, thanks for joining in there in the wonderful upper north of Pennsylvania. Yeah, so I agree, Ryan. Co-angler for me, again, I've fished with probably 30 to 40 boaters, and of those 40 boaters, again, there's one guy that I wouldn't ever want to go fishing with again. So when you think about 1 out of 40, that's pretty good odds. And I didn't let the guy, ruin my day fishing. It wasn't like that at all. I just wasn't having fun with this guy like I had the other 39 people. A lot of times, I'd say of the 39 people that I would go fishing with again, I bet you 30 of them, I have their phone numbers in my phone, and I talk to a lot of them on the weekly or monthly basis. We keep in touch. They know where I live. I know where they live. So if I'm having a tournament, I can say, hey, man, I'm fishing Stonewall Jackson. Can you give me some insight about that? And, it's a fishing community. That's why I like you guys out there so much, is that I feel like that I have this fishing community of people that are like-minded and they actually, enjoy the same things I do. And it's a really cool deal. There are times where you're going to get in situations like the one guy that I had. And the biggest thing to remember is that you don't let them, have say so over how you're having fun or how you're fishing. There's a lot of people that, one instance, we pulled up in a creek. I was fishing this tournament with a guy, and I asked him the day before. I always ask my boaters, when at the tournament meetings when we get paired up, hey man, I introduce myself. Hey, my name is Tyler. First off, I run a YouTube channel. I always ask them, can I put a GoPro on your boat? If you say no, totally understandable. But if you say yes, the stuff is going to be on my channel for people to see. They're going to see where we're fishing and stuff. 9 times out of 10, people are like, sure, man, go ahead. I'd love to see it. I'd love to watch it back and all that stuff. And I have some people that say, no, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't, which is fine. I honor their stuff and I don't put a GoPro on it. And nobody out there sees anything about it. I go fishing. But after that, I always ask the tournament or the boaters, like, hey, man, can you give me any insight on what you plan on doing tomorrow? Because that way I can be set up as best possible with my baits. And I don't expect them to tell me what baits they're actually throwing. But I do ask them, hey, we're going to be flipping and pitching. We'll be throwing, moving baits. Can you give me a little bit of insight? That way I can have some stuff tied on so I'm not at a disadvantage tomorrow. 99% of the people say, hey, man, yeah, I was doing this. So guy tells me in the morning or in the tournament meeting that he's going to be flipping and pitching all day. We're going to be like close quarters combat. We're going to be pitching in some of the hardest cover you've seen. I was like, okay, so I tied on jigs and stuff, but I tied on one white spinnerbait from the tackle box. It was in the fall on the river. I was like, there's going to be a fish eat a white spinnerbait. So I'm fishing the back of this guy's boat. I'm casting directly out of my side of the boat, not up towards him. Throw this white spinnerbait at like the first 3 stumps we come at, catch 3 keeper bass, have them in the live well. He power pulls down, goes digging in his box, ties on a white spinnerbait like I had. Obviously, it wasn't a tackle box spinnerbait, but he ties on a 3/8 ounce white spinnerbait and starts throwing in front of me. Catches a limit of bass in the next 100 yards of bank. I was throwing the spinnerbait behind him and never got bit because he was catching the fish before I could catch him. Is what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. Didn't look down on the guy. I picked up a wacky rig Cinco and ended up catching 2 4-pounders on the same stumps that he had been throwing this white spinnerbait at. So if I had let that get to me, this guy literally, front ended me with this white spinnerbait that I was throwing. And when he told me that we're going to be flipping and pitching all day, if I would have let that get to me, it would have ruined my entire day. What I did is that I used that opportunity to know what I catch fish on and make an adjustment that I knew that I had a good chance of winning a tournament on. Again, I caught 2 4-pounders, had a limit of 5. It was down. Down in the crap. I can't think of it. It's down Indiana down there. But I had 5 fish, ended up finishing 6th place out of the tournament, and had an amazing day. It was a really cool deal. But there's been very few times that I've been upset other than the guy. Again, he wasn't fun to fish with. But other than that, I've had an amazing time fishing. Matter of fact, I have more fun fishing those bigger tournaments as a co-angler than I do taking my boat and going, to a bigger tournament around here as a boater. One, their equipment's a lot better. You don't have that $800 a month boat payment. I get asked often, what do you do as a co-angler? What's expected? I see a lot of different things, guys, and I'm leery to even bring this up, but I see people a lot of time on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and stuff calling out co-anglers for bringing too much gear. They're saying like, you should bring 2 rods and, some baits that you're comfortable with. Well, I personally am not doing that. You're never going to catch me packing 2 rods on a boat unless I'm going to St. Clair and I'm fishing with Kyle, and I know he's got 20 other rods that if he's catching them on something else, I can grab one of his rods and fish it. But I bring a minimum of 6 to 8 rods with me as a co-angler using the rod mule that's Cal Coast makes, and I bring a Black Moon backpack that's made by Shimano that's just loaded with gear. But there's people now that are running people like me under the bus. Like, you're bringing too much stuff, it's too cluttered, all this stuff, and I just don't know what to say about that. But what's expected of you as a co-angler? There's really nothing expected of you. But there is kind of like this unwritten rule that you should give your boater some gas money at the end of the day. Because again, you're not going to have that $700-800 a month boat payment. A lot of times you don't. If you do, you're probably fishing as a boater. And fuel, especially now, $4 a gallon, every little bit helps. I've won some money. Most I've ever won is about $600 in a tournament in the BFL. I offered the guy that was my boater $200. I was like, here, man. I was like, I won $600. Thanks for letting me ride your boat and put me on fish. The guy turned me down. He said, just give me $50, man. We'll call it even. More than happy to do that. But as long as you're, one, being mindful of their gear. Kyle had a guy break his seat in his nitro on a tournament. That was fun. Just be mindful of things, man. Don't step in people's seats. Step, where you should, and respect their stuff. And other than that, you're gonna have an amazing time. Me too, Aaron. Me too. I'm ready to go. I won't be long. So Aaron and I were having this conversation. You guys saw it last week. We were talking about how there's no good graph or electronics company that has that. Yeah, so I'm okay with the 6 rods and the 1 box. But all my gear does fit in 1 box, but my Black Moon backpack is fairly large. But I never put my gear in their way. Like, it all sits in front of my feet or next to me with my rods, all bundled together. Again, if you guys don't know what the Cal Coast rod mule is, if you're fishing as a co-angler, it is an absolute necessity. And I'm not any way affiliated with Cal Coast at all, but it is an absolute necessity for me as a co-angler because it allows me to pack up. I put up to 13 rods in that thing, and that's just packing it back between my boat and Kyle's boat. I would never pack 13 rods with me to to a BFL or something like that, but it will hold up to 13 rods tight, but it still will hold them. And it allows you to pack these things back and forth without, one, getting the tips broken, two, it all carrying in one hand with a strap. You can have the backpack on. I use the Black Moon backpack. But everything is in front of me, and it's not like over into the way where a boater can't get up to the deck, and it's there where you can't net fish and things. So I think it's in one box. But, it's really tough, especially as a co-angler, not knowing the people you're fishing with and not knowing what kind of technique you're going to be doing, for me to pack one small box and some rods. But again, on the opposite side of that, if you want to have 30 rods in a boat, fish as a boater. I get that too. Hey, Fred, glad you got it, man. Sorry for the delay there. I'm glad you got it. Lake Talquin, Florida. Yeah, Classic was amazing, dude. It was so much fun. The rod mule is awesome, Corey. You use it. Again, the rod mule is fairly cheap. Last time I checked, it was like $30. May have raised because everything else is raised, but when I bought it, it was like $29, maybe it was $39, somewhere in there. Has a really big piece of like rod sleeve at the top. Has two Velcro straps and a buckle that actually changes in length, so you can change the back of it. Super nice. If you fish as a co-angler and you don't own a rod mule, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Sweet, man. I will. So my thing about that is, we were talking about that, is that there's no great graph out there that does everything, even there's a lot of them that do it mediocre, but there's nothing that does it like well. So if you think of like the live scope, Garmin live scope is, like, in my opinion, like the nicest live sonar right now. You have the Mega Live. You're going to be looking at, the Lowrance. There's just so much out there that does that. However, especially with the new Live Scope Plus, I think it's going to be the top dog again. And Kyle and I were having a conversation about the Bassmaster Classic. Everybody on the Classic was using some form of live sonar. And if you're going to be competitive at that level, it is an absolute necessity as a boater to have that stuff. I am going to try to get like Ben Nowak or somebody on this channel that knows a lot about Garmin to come on here and shed some knowledge about what you should get to start out with to get live scope set up on your boat. Do we all want a 12 or 15-inch graph on the front and back of our boat? Sure. Can we all afford it? I'm here to tell you no, because I can't afford it right now. I'm working on getting my boat paid off, and then I potentially could afford it. But I'm looking right now into stepping into that live sonar realm. Again, I think Garmin has the market wrapped up right now with what they have. I like Mega 360 for a down scan or a live scan system. But I feel like that Garmin has the market wrapped up. But I don't know where to start. What kind of head unit do I get? What kind of transducer do I need? I know a lot of you guys out there know, but I'm going to try to get a hold of somebody from Garmin, and maybe they can get here and talk about what the most bang for your buck is to get the best view. If you have a 4-inch graph on the front of your deck of your boat, you're going to be like down there trying to figure it out. So I'm thinking like an 8-inch to a 10-inch is going to be where you need to start. Those things are really expensive. So my goal is over the next couple of months next couple of weeks is get a hold of Garmin and maybe potentially, work somebody into the channel to give us some knowledge. We had Bill Carson on the show a few months ago from Humminbird. He laid out a ton of information talking about the new Apex graphs and stuff that Humminbird has. I still right now I'm a Humminbird guy. I haven't had the opportunity to look at Garmin. And I'm sure the newer like live series stuff of Lowrance is awesome. I just feel like that the Lowrance side of things is laggy. It's laggish. When you touch the screen and move it, it almost feels like a Windows 98 PC. It's just super like laggy. And I'm sure that's not the case anymore with the new stuff. But I just got a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah, I'm with you, man. 9-inch bundle. So I guess that's the thing that they had in Cabela's the other day, where they released that stuff before it was actually supposed to be released. Because everybody's like, "What is this Live Scope Plus stuff?" And then like 5 days later, Garmin's like, "Oh yeah, we have this new transducer." Cabela's just kind of sent the word out before we should have. Garmin 93 SV side view is amazing, Live Scope compatible. So I'm probably a 9-inch screen there. I'm gonna have to get with Aaron and go out and try to figure out what's up with these Garmin's. Check them out firsthand. Yeah, boy, that's what I'm talking about, dude. So here I talked to Bill about it after the show was over. I didn't do it on a show, but those new Apex have an HDMI port out. And the coolest thing about that is, for me as a geek and a guy that teaches with technology, is you can plug that HDMI port into a computer and literally rip the video off of that Garmin and save it to a hard drive. So you can literally be talking about what you're fishing and show the screen on camera, which is absolutely amazing to me. I was told by Bill that Tactical Bassin was doing that, or was planning to do that, but I've yet to see any videos with that done. You have to take you'd have to take a laptop out on the water with you, which is a pain. But another cool thing you could do is have the thing there sitting in your driveway and show it on screen, or record it and then show what you're actually setting settings and stuff for, which would be really cool. Those things are awesome. That's awesome, man. Russell Marine Products, RMP. I've heard they do pretty well on that stuff. 106 Garmin. So I guess is that their 10-inch model, I assume? There you go. So maybe you don't have to have it. But that's the goal. I'm going to send some emails out tomorrow to the marketing team of Garmin. Hopefully I can get somebody on and they could shed some knowledge. My goal is to eventually figure out what I want to run and partner with the said companies to do that. And my 3,600 subscribers is not going to even come close for them to partner with me. So I get that. I'm going to have to buy these things, which is fine. Everybody else has to buy them too, unless you're Tactical Bassin or KVD or Timmy Horton runs Garmin. There's a lot of people out there that get them free. That's okay. I won't be that person, I can tell you, because I don't have the viewership yet that warrants that. But my goal is to, I swear, I think if you don't have live scope or some sort of live forward facing sonar, you are going to get absolutely throttled at every tournament you fish where you're fishing against people that have it. And here's why. This is a very unpopular opinion, but a professional bass fisherman that's running live scope or a forward facing sonar like that, they're not throwing at spots normally. They'll go up to a spot where they think a bass is going to be, and they'll scan it with their forward facing little sonar. And if there's not a fish there, they go to the next spot. Whereas you and I, if we don't have that, we're going to run up to a tree and we're going to like, oh my God, this looks like it's super, super fishy here. And I'm going to throw a crankbait by it, and I'm going to throw a jig up on it, and I'm going to throw a wacky rig on it. I'm going to throw a topwater bait across it, and there's no fish there. The guy that's running that pro level setup knew that instantaneously and is moving on fishing more water that is more productive than you are. So in my opinion, my unpopular opinion is that I feel like that if you're not running a forward facing sonar in a tournament that they're allowed, because I'm going to call it here. I'd say in the next 3 years, you see some of these huge names like the Bassmaster Classic and things like that outlawing those things. Guys, if you can't throw an Alabama rig that has 5 hooks on it in a tournament, how is it any different if I can see the fish before I catch it? Am I saying that they should do that? No, I think you should have every ability that you have if you have the ability to afford things like that, I think you should be able to fish it. But if they can outlaw an A rig, it's not a super stretch saying that they're going to outlaw that eventually. Will they do it? Probably not, because an A-rig costs $20. A graph costs $4,000. You can see where the potential for profit loss there would be. Used to use touchscreens, so nice. Side down and live, hard to beat. That's awesome, Billy. So that's what I'm looking at. Like, and I think it's like a kind of like one of those. I don't feel like Garmin is an off-brand by any means. You know, they made GPSs for years, but it's almost like for a while they were like the dollar store version of Garmin or of Lowrance and Humminbirds. These names have been huge for years, and it's just a new person in the market, and that's why you feel like it when you hear that. And that's obviously not the case. But it's really tough for you to spend your money on something that's not been tested. And right now, we know that these things are just phenomenal, and everybody's loving them. Yeah, you're right, Aaron. Like I said, you don't have to. You're going to have to see that. That will never happen. You're right. It's kind of like MLF. MLF, you know, they claimed they were going to be able to shut Bass down with all the people that's leaving. That didn't happen. There's a lot of money going on everywhere. And let's face it, money makes the bass fishing tournament world go round. Why do you think they keep having the Bassmaster Classic at places like Hartwell or the Tennessee River down in Knoxville? Because these places are where the most people show up to. And the people that are showing up, they're spending money. And if they're spending money, it's putting money into the economy of these towns. So these towns are paying out the wazoo to get this tournament and these things in here. So it just keeps going and going and going. Pretty cool. Sounds like a plan, Carl. I'll take you up on that. Yeah, so that's the thing, Billy. Like, I was looking at, so it's a 13-inch apex. I was looking at a 13-inch apex for the console of my boat. The thing's like $4,200. I was like, $4,200. And me as a high school teacher, even when gas was $1.89 a gallon, $4,000 is a ton of cash for me. I paid $20,000 for the boat I'm running. It's crazy to think about having, and you see these guys, and again, they're all sponsored, getting for free. They're like, I was looking at somebody's boat the other day in the Classic. The guy had two 15-inch graphs on his bow and a 15 and a 12 on his console. So you're looking at close to probably over $20,000 worth of electronics when you think about transducers and all the mounts and all that stuff. Again, you're looking at over $20,000 worth of graphs and electronics. And it's just absolutely absurd to me to think about this. I started bass fishing tournaments out of a 1978 Bass Hawk with a 150 Evinrude, and it had a flasher on the dash. This thing was an absolute monstrosity of a boat. It was crazy. That thing weighed like 100,000 pounds. It felt like I was dragging it around with a Toyota Tacoma, and it was literally pulling the guts out of this thing. I was so embarrassed of this boat because it was so cold-natured that I would go and I would start my motor on muffs in the morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning to warm my engine up so it would start on the boat ramp when I put the boat in the water. I literally did this every morning that it was cold. Nowadays, like that new 529 or 527 or whatever Ranger just released, and they have that Ranger Icon Series, $110,000. It's crazy to think about. Is this market sustainable? I don't think so. Eventually it's going to implode. I have to sell a lot. However, I will tell you, man, I just now got, I had it for a few months, but the Do It Poison Tail jig, which is kind of a swim jig type deal. You can make bladed jigs out of it, vibrating jigs. But this thing right here, it's going to be tough for you guys to see it. But this right here is an absolute just sexy son of a gun. This is 3/4 ounce. Has stick-on eyes. You guys can't see it, but this thing just looks sexy. Has a bigger hook comes way up. That's what I call it. A poison tail. Kind of looks like a, I don't know, scorpion or something. Really cool swim jig. This skirt is from Jan's Knatcraft. You guys already know that I modified the mold already to have the wire weed guards. This thing is just awesome. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm planning on buying something in the near future that is live scope-ish. Yeah, man. So I've seen that. True story. But on the other hand, the guys that just won the Alabama Bass Trail down there, not Tyler. Let's see. So Kyler Beckman wasn't him. He has I think he has a nitro. But the guys that won it fished out of a 10 rig with zero electronics and won like, it was like $70,000 or something. It was nuts. Pretty crazy. So yeah, Aaron, I'll get a hold of you. I'm gonna reach out to Garmin tomorrow, see if I can get somebody on the show. Maybe we can talk about it. Basically, see what's going on. We are at that magic 1 hour mark, guys. I appreciate you guys' support. And again, 55,000 views over the last 90 days is freaking amazing. I can't thank you guys enough. 240 new subscribers. I'm chugging away at that 4,000 subscriber goal. If we could surpass that, it would be amazing. But I'm not going to count my chickens before we hatch. But the way it looks right now, we are going to break that before December, which is going to be awesome. So thank you guys very much. Quick note before we get off here, the tackle box did get some of the new Shimano X Pride rods in. They're the same price as the old X Prides, which is roughly about $250. Give or take $20 there, depending on what rod you choose. There is an 8-foot extra heavy flipping and pitching stick that I finally got my hands on down at the Classic. I talked to Ethan, the regional sales manager for the Southeast District here, which deals with the tackle box and things. I've known him for a while. He actually took me fishing 5 years ago as the Shimano Experience team. But this guy, we were talking about it, and he showed it to me, and it's an 8-footer, which is a huge rod. But if you guys are familiar with the old style Poison Adrenas, the Poison Adrenas with the handle section would come off of the rod. And they did that because that in Japan and China, where these rods were originally from, they drive really small cars, and they couldn't fit these bigger rods in their cars, so the butt of them would break down so they could put them in their actual cars, and that's why that started that. The old Poison Adrena rods, the first series of Poison Adrena rods, are still bringing huge money, like $500 a rod, even as used stuff, because people like them that well. But the new extra heavy 8-footer from the X Pride, the handle breaks off from it. It comes with 2 wraps, so you can wrap it together, which is actually pretty cool. But I will tell you, my absolute opinion of the new X Pride, finally getting my hands on one, dude, they are phenomenal. Like, they're so light. Even that 8-footer is crazy light. Crazy light. Also, if you have any NRX Plus rods on order like I do, I've had them on order since July 20th. Still don't have mine. Talked to Ethan about that, figured out what's going on. I was like, man, what's up? I've been waiting on these things 220 days. And he said it's the guide train issue. They can't produce them quick enough, and they can't get them shipped into the United States quick enough to get the production up where it needs to be. So until that happens, I don't know when I'm going to see these things. The tackle box does have some the other day up there going quick. But those new X Prides that they got in, I'm telling you, for $250 are going to be an absolute must look at when you're looking at new rods. David, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for all of the encouragement and things. It's good to see your name pop up there every weekend. You've been a supporter of mine since, not just a supporter of mine, a buddy of mine for years. So I appreciate it. Yes. So the name of the store is Tackle Box in South Point, Ohio, but they do not ship. They just do a lot of, in-house, but it's in South Point, Ohio. It's like 411 Solida Road, South Point, Ohio. Most southern tip of Ohio. If you look at Ohio, look where the very tip of it is. It's literally right there. I'm from, 5 minutes from there. Great guys. Greg Drown, Debbie up there. They're amazing people to work with, but they do not ship anything. So I'm sorry about that. I did too. I got one of them in 2 weeks. The other ones I didn't. Hey, Anthony, what's up, buddy? Rain Marine Dragonfly 7. 13.1. Yeah, boy, man. That could be. I don't have one decked out like that, nor will I ever. But I think that if gas is $5 a gallon, I'm gonna have to find something to do, and it's definitely gonna have to be a kayak because I can't afford to pull my bass boat around and put $150 worth of fuel and my truck and my boat. So that may be something I'm looking at. Speaking of which, yeah, man. So definitely do that if you're in the area. You will not be mistaken. You won't be, disappointed. Again, 100% positive. I will make sure here that it's the truth. But I can give you the actual address. Again, it's just called Tackle Box. You can find it on Facebook as well. Their address is, again, 411 Solida Road, South Point, Ohio. And again, definitely someplace you should just definitely stop in there. They're open Monday through Saturday. And let's see, I think they're open Monday through Friday until 6, Saturday until 5, I think. But definitely you're not going to be disappointed. They have usually over 2,000 rods in stock between Loomis, Shimano, St. Croix, you name it, they're going to have it. Have the largest selection of Shimano reels I've ever seen in my entire life. If you're not a Shimano guy, they have Blues and Garcia and pretty much everything you could possibly want. So definitely do that. Anthony, I appreciate it, buddy. We need to get together and do some fishing. Yeah, so these guys are right on it. They also make buzz baits and spinner baits that are second to none, in my opinion. They're about $5 a piece as opposed to 8 or 10 now for like a War Eagle or something like that. Phenomenal stuff. Usually has thousands of them on the shelf you can choose from. So definitely take it up. It's definitely a great tackle shop. So again, tell them that you were watching On Another Line and you saw it and you stopped in there. It would be a big help for me. I appreciate it. So guys, we're at that hour and 10-minute mark. Thank you guys for joining in for this episode of On Another Line Live. We got some more videos coming out this week about some different random things. Again, a couple of things here really quickly to get you guys in on this. Again, if you guys are wanting to get a hold of any JB's Fish Sauce from jbsfishsauce.com, my promo code is OALL. That's the letter OALL, like On Another Line Live 20. That'll save you 20% off at checkout. Again, this episode is obviously also brought to you by people just like you. And again, I thank you guys very much for the support. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it if you would go over and do that. I have a goal of 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I can't do that unless you hit that subscribe button. Next thing is Apex Fishing Apparel. My buddy Mark Hickey has a really nice thing going on. He has a really cool fishing apparel line. It's an upstart coming up. I've got a lot of stuff from the toddler size all the way up to the full-grown man size, as well as females. They have some stuff there. They're really nice, really cool. A lot of sun shirts. He does have some hoodies and stuff. He was telling me. Excuse me, and he has shorts coming in, so fishing shorts and stuff. Check out apexfishingapparel.com. Use the code Waller10 to save yourself 10% at checkout. So, that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys sticking around for this episode of On Another Line Live. If you guys can, get out there and lean on them. We will see you next time. As Andy says, Tackle Box is awesome. I was going to knock it off there, but $20 fishing challenge. Will do. I think it's a great idea. I also think it would be a really good idea. So I'm going to do a challenge that's coming up soon as it gets warm enough. Is I'm going to do an old school bait challenge. I have some old school baits. I'm talking old school. I got some baits back here. I have the River Runt. I have the Wajiak lure. I have a bunch. I literally have 100 old school lures, and I've kept them as like collector's items. Let's face it. I'm never going to sell them. I'm going to use them. I'm going to see if I can catch fish on them. That's the deal. Fred's correct. Ryan Love, see you, man. Sorry I missed you down there. Banjo Minnow. If I could find them, I would fish them. They were amazing. I guarantee you would smash fish on them if you could find them. Anyway, guys. Yeah, wigglewort. Like pre-Rapala wigglewort. You're getting into some big dollars there. But anyway, Adam, thanks for joining in, buddy. I appreciate the support, man. I always see your name on here, and it means a lot. Anyway, you guys know the routine. You guys can get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.